Attention is a currency, and right now, without your consent, it is being spent. You feel it already, that low-grade heaviness that follows you into sleep and greets you before the alarm. You haven't run a marathon, you haven't built a house, but you are exhausted, deeply, and you've been told that's a personal failing. It isn't. There is a mechanism behind this. And before this video ends, you are going to see exactly how it works. There is a pattern running underneath modern civilization. A design so consistent, so precisely maintained, that once you see it, you genuinely cannot unsee it. It isn't chaos. It isn't bad luck. And it is absolutely not a reflection of your discipline or your worth. Tiredness, in the modern world, is a systemic output. It is the predictable result of living inside an architecture that was never built to sustain you. It was built to extract from you. Ancient traditions knew this. The mystery schools of Egypt, the Vedic texts, the early Gnostic writings, they all encoded a specific warning about energy and where it goes. They spoke about forces, human and otherwise, that feed on the vital current of conscious beings. They wrapped it in symbol because symbol survived where direct speech could not. But the message was never lost. It was just waiting for the right moment to be decoded. Judith Orloff, a psychiatrist and clinical faculty member at UCLA, documented this in the modern language of medicine and psychology. And researcher Hanok Livne mapped the mechanisms of chronic depletion across populations and found patterns that defied individual explanation. These are not fringe voices. This is documented scholarship that simply doesn't get taught in the places that benefit from your exhaustion. Here is what I am going to walk you through. There are 3 invisible layers to this drain, 3 levels operating simultaneously on your energy field right now. The outer layer you can almost see, the middle layer you feel but misattribute, and the deepest layer, the one that makes the other 2 possible, I will decode for you around the 8-minute mark of this video. I need you to stay with me through this entire thing, not because I'm asking for your time, because the piece that lands at minute 8 is the piece that reframes everything that came before it. And if you leave before that, you'll carry the weight without the key. The pattern is already visible to you, somewhere beneath language. That's why you're here. Let's bring it into the light. The first layer is the one that wears a human face. You know this layer. You have felt it in specific rooms, around specific people. A conversation that begins with you feeling clear and ends with you feeling hollowed. You drive home and you cannot explain what happened. Nothing was taken. Nothing was said that you could point to. And yet something is missing. Something quiet and essential. This is not metaphor. This is mechanism. The vampire myth is one of the oldest and most persistent encoding systems in human storytelling. Every culture carries a version of it. The life force drinker, the one who cannot survive without drawing from another's vital current. Cultures separated by oceans and centuries arrived at the same image, the same warning, the same precise detail, that this predation is invisible, that it happens in proximity, and that the victim rarely understands what occurred until long after the encounter. Judith Orloff, in her clinical research and her book Emotional Freedom, gave this phenomenon its modern diagnostic language. She documented what she called emotional vampires, individuals whose psychological patterns systematically drain the emotional and energetic resources of those around them. And she was careful to note this was not always conscious. That is the crucial detail. The predation does not require intention. It runs like a program beneath awareness, on both sides of the exchange. The mechanism is nonverbal. Research in effective neuroscience has confirmed that human beings are continuously broadcasting and receiving emotional states through micro-expressions, postural mirroring, vocal tonality, and autonomic signals that operate below conscious processing. When you are in proximity to someone in a state of chronic anxiety, chronic need, or chronic hostility, your nervous system reads that signal and begins to respond. Your cortisol shifts. Your attention narrows. Your prefrontal function reduces. You are being metabolically affected by a field you cannot see, generated by a person you may genuinely care about. This is the subtle body under pressure. This is the ancient warning translated into neuroscience. But the human scale drain is only the beginning. Because what the mystery schools also encoded, what the Vedic concept of prana theft, what the Gnostic Archon mythology, what the shamanic traditions of Central Asia all pointed toward, was that this same harvesting dynamic could be replicated at scale, that a system, not just a person, could be architected to extract vital force from millions simultaneously. And here is where the ancient warning becomes uncomfortably specific to the world you are living in right now. The attention economy is not a neutral marketplace. It is an engineered harvesting system. The platforms you carry in your pocket were not designed to connect you. They were designed, in the precise language of their own internal research, to maximize engagement, which is the corporate euphemism for capturing and holding your attention for as long as mechanically possible, regardless of the effect on your well-being. Tristan Harris, former design ethicist at Google, testified before the United States Senate that the techniques employed by major platforms were deliberately modeled on slot machine psychology, variable reward schedules engineered to override the prefrontal cortex's capacity to disengage. This is not a side effect. This is the product. Your attention is the commodity. Your depletion is the proof of delivery. Every notification is a micro-extraction. Every scroll is a guided drain. And the cumulative effect, compounded across years of daily exposure, is a population that is chronically exhausted, chronically distracted, and chronically unable to locate the source of the leak. Actually, no. Let me say that again, because this is the decode move that matters. The exhaustion you feel is not a bug in the system, it is a feature. A depleted nervous system is a compliant nervous system. A person running on empty does not have the surplus energy required to question, to resist, to build something outside the architecture that is consuming them. The ancient traditions called this the capture of the vital fire. The modern engineers call it engagement. The word changes. The mechanism does not. So you have the interpersonal layer, the human faces that drain through proximity and need. And you have the systemic layer, the engineered platforms and environments designed to harvest your attention at industrial scale. Two layers, working simultaneously, feeding the same output, your depletion. But here's what they don't tell you. And this is the piece that the outer layers are designed to keep you from ever reaching. Because beneath the people and beneath the platforms, there is a third layer, an internal architecture, one that you built yourself, without knowing, from the materials the system handed you. And that layer, the one running inside you right now, may be the most efficient drain of all. There is a layer that nobody talks about, not the people around you, not the platforms, not even most researchers who study fatigue. This layer lives entirely inside you. It runs constantly. It has no off switch. And right now, as you watch this, it is spending your energy without asking permission. Rumination. That is the clinical word for what most people call overthinking. But the word doesn't capture what's actually happening. Because overthinking isn't just an annoyance, it is metabolically expensive. Studies in cognitive neuroscience confirm that sustained mental rehearsal of unresolved scenarios activates the same stress response pathways as the original event. Your nervous system does not distinguish between a memory and a present threat. So every time you replay that conversation, rehearse that argument, anticipate that worst-case outcome, your body responds as though it is happening right now. The energy expenditure is real. The depletion is measurable, and it never stops because the mind, left untrained, defaults to this loop. Here is the question you might be asking. If overthinking is so costly, why do we do it? The answer is almost unbearably simple. The mind believes it is protecting you. It believes that if it rehearses the danger enough times, it will find a way through. It is running a survival program designed for a world of immediate physical threats. But you are not being chased by a predator. You are lying awake at 3 a.m, rereading a text message, and the program keeps running anyway. The protection mechanism has become the drain. Now, layer in your environment. Hannah Livney, whose work on self-regulation and psychosocial adaptation is foundational in rehabilitation psychology, documented something that cuts straight to this. Every act of self-control draws from the same finite reservoir. Every time you resist an impulse, manage an emotion, filter your words, or force yourself to focus in a chaotic environment, you are spending from a pool that does not replenish instantly. Livney's framework makes something concrete out of what you have always felt but couldn't name. The effort of maintaining composure in a cluttered, overstimulating world is not free. It costs you, continuously. And clutter is not a small thing here. Consider ancient traditions of sacred space, the Japanese concept of ma, the deliberate emptiness that allows energy to move, or the monastic cell, stripped to the essential, not as aesthetic choice, but as energetic technology. These traditions understood something that modern neuroscience is only beginning to quantify. A fragmented visual environment creates a fragmented attentional field. When your space is disordered, your nervous system is perpetually scanning for threat and orientation. It cannot settle, it cannot consolidate. It is constantly spending small amounts of energy on micro-assessments that add up across hours and days into a significant drain. A cluttered room is not just visually uncomfortable, it is a continuous draw on your subtle energy field. Then there is the voice, the one inside, the one that narrates your life. Negative self-talk isn't a personality quirk, it is a drain mechanism. Every self-critical thought activates a mild but real stress response. The cortisol tick, the slight muscular tension, the narrowing of perception, multiplied across hundreds of micro-moments every single day. Ancient contemplative traditions, Stoic philosophy, Buddhist mind training, the inner alchemy of Hermetic practice, all converged on the same insight independently. The untrained inner narrator is an adversary, not because it is evil, because it is running programs installed by circumstance, culture, and wound. And it runs them automatically, all day, drawing on your reserves without your conscious consent. Here is the decode move. These three things, rumination, cluttered environments, and negative self-talk, are not separate problems. They are a single system, a closed loop of internal depletion. The cluttered space feeds the scattered mind. The scattered mind accelerates the ruminating loop. The ruminating loop fuels the critical inner voice. And the critical inner voice makes the clutter feel overwhelming, which keeps the space disordered. You can enter this loop at any point and find the others waiting for you. It is not a personal failure. It is a self-reinforcing architecture, one that most people live inside without ever seeing its shape. Actually, no. Let me say that again, because this is the piece that matters. You did not build this architecture from weakness. You built it from the materials you were given. The culture handed you overstimulation. The environment handed you disorder. The conditioning handed you the inner critic. You assembled them into a system that now runs on autopilot. Seeing the shape of it is not a reason to despair. It is the beginning of something else entirely. And yet, even with all of this named and visible, the rumination, the clutter, the self-talk, there is still something beneath it. Something the conversation about personal energy management almost never reaches. Because these internal leaks didn't arise in a vacuum, they were cultivated, systematically, at scale. And the deepest drain isn't accidental at all. And what's waiting in the next layer, that's where this entire map begins to make a different kind of sense. Pull back, further than you've gone before, because the internal leaks you just saw, the rumination, the clutter, the self-talk, those are real, but they exist inside a larger architecture, one that was designed before you arrived, one that shapes the conditions of your exhaustion from the outside in. And once you see this layer clearly, you will not be able to look at modern life the same way again. The always-on culture is not an accident. Let that land. The expectation that you are reachable at every hour, that you produce continuously, that your attention is always available. This did not emerge organically from human nature. It was engineered, incrementally, through the design of platforms, the structuring of workplaces, the normalization of a pace that has no historical precedent. What they call productivity culture, what they market as ambition, is functionally a harvesting system. Your attention is the resource. Your energy is the yield. And the system is optimized to extract both at maximum efficiency with minimum recovery time built in. What does chronic stress do over time? Judith Orloff, psychiatrist and researcher whose work bridges mainstream medicine and energy medicine, documented this with clinical precision. Chronic stress does not merely make you tired, it precedes illness. It degrades immune function, disrupts hormonal regulation, accelerates cellular aging. The body under sustained energetic demand begins to consume itself. Orloff's work makes explicit what the medical establishment often treats as separate issues. The stress comes first, the illness follows, the depletion is the mechanism, not a symptom, the cause. Now here is the question that cuts deeper. Why did it take modern medicine so long to name this? The ancients named it immediately. Every major civilization that developed a sophisticated understanding of human health, the Vedic tradition with its concept of prana, the Taoist tradition with ki, the ancient Egyptian understanding of ka, all arrived at the same foundational insight. There is a vital force. It is finite. It can be cultivated or depleted, and the conditions of your life either support it or drain it. These were not metaphors. They were functional models, diagnostic frameworks. Maps of a real mechanism that these traditions observed across thousands of years of accumulated human experience. The Vedic tradition described prana as the animating intelligence flowing through the body's subtle channels. Depletion of prana was understood as the root of both physical illness and mental fragmentation. The Taoist tradition spoke of qi as the fundamental organizing energy of life and warned explicitly against the conditions that scatter it: excessive stimulation, emotional turbulence without resolution, environments that fragment the senses, relationships that demand without reciprocating. These are not ancient superstitions. They are precise descriptions of the exact mechanisms that modern research is now quantifying in laboratories. The ancients were not guessing, they were mapping, and the civilizational pattern is not new either. The Roman Empire at its peak created conditions of hyperconnectivity for its time, the relentless flow of information across the cursus publicus, the demand for constant political vigilance, the spectacle culture of the arena designed to occupy attention and prevent reflection. Historians who study the late Republic describe a population chronically overstimulated, chronically anxious, chronically exhausted. Sound familiar? The architecture changes. The mechanism does not. Here is the decode move. Hyperconnectivity fatigue is not a modern inconvenience. It is a civilizational pattern. Societies that reach a certain threshold of complexity and stimulation generate conditions of systemic depletion in their populations. What changes across centuries is only the delivery mechanism. The Roman arena becomes the social media feed. The imperial courier system becomes the notification badge. The technology is new. The harvesting is ancient. And this is the piece that changes everything. Because if depletion is systemic, then individual solutions, better sleep hygiene, fewer screen hours, a morning walk, are necessary but insufficient. They are responses to symptoms without addressing the source. You are trying to fill a vessel that has a hole in it, and the hole was put there by design, not by malice, necessarily, but by a system that benefits from your expenditure and loses nothing from your exhaustion. So here is where you stand now. You have seen the external drains. You have seen the internal leaks. You have seen the systemic architecture that generates both. And now the map is complete enough for something different. Not just naming the problem, but the move that changes your relationship to all of it. The moment you stop being managed by what you cannot see and begin to operate as something sovereign. And that is exactly where we are going next. This is the turn. You stop being a victim of invisible circumstance the moment you name the architecture clearly enough to move differently inside it. Shielding, boundaries, ritual, these are not self-help suggestions. They are the ancient toolkit, recovered and applied. Every tradition that understood energy depletion also preserved the practices for reclamation. That knowledge belongs to you now. Drop your insight in the comments. What landed hardest? What did you recognize in your own life? Your observations genuinely deepen this map for everyone who comes after you. There is a deeper curriculum waiting. Sacred geometry, the neuroscience of altered states, the psychology of symbol, each layer going further than the last. Stay in it. You are not separate from this energy. You are an expression of it, and now you know how to protect it. See you at dawn. Drop what this opened in you into the comments. Your insight becomes part of the field for everyone who arrives after you. And if you are staying in the curriculum, subscribe. The next layer goes deeper.